Okay, well, it's another one of those between the storms days here in Washington. Temperatures are in the 20s. That would be dog randomly barking at nothing, just a big white fence. But anyway, I've had a lot of trouble in the shop trying to keep it warm, even though we've got a nice big heater in there. So I just went down to Home Depot and I picked up these Owens Corning garage door R8 insulation kits and one of these bottom door seals. My shop was built, sorry about that guys, my shop was built in 1981, and so you can see that the gap under the door here, we've had some concrete settling and stuff, and there's no sill there. So I'm going to go ahead and add a sill at the bottom and that R8 insulation to the inside and see if I can't get a little bit more efficiency out of the heater we have in the shop. So it's 27 degrees outside. You can see the old door in here. We're going to have to move a few tools out of the way. I've got my old bell saw planer there, of course Mr. Lawnmower, my chainsaw and everything. We'll move all that stuff out of the way and we'll get to measuring up the door panel so we cut everything to the right size. And before we do that though, you can see that light gap coming under there, which is just energy escaping out. We'll get that filled up first. So here would be the interior before shot. You can see from years I've tested out my rattle cans on the door and stuff, at least the guy before me who was running an auto body business out of the shop. He did a lot of rattle can testing, as you can see, so we'll have that all cleaned up. First thing I'm going to do is get out a tape measure and measure the actual width between my channels so we get exactly the right size, so we cut them all at one time and not have to go back and forth. It looks to me like there's two sizes, an outside and an inside, but we'll verify that and we'll check it out. Okay, I measured everything out, and right now we've got one set of panels, so there'll be 8 total that are 47 3/4, and then they're all 20 inches high. And then we have the middle panels, another 8 of them, will be 44 3/4 inches. There is a little piece of foam insulated in here that I'll probably pull out so I can stretch it all the way across, but right now, this is all we should probably need. So the next step is going to be to blow off the garage door, get out a little mineral spirits on the 2 sections where we have to put up our tabs, and we'll get to doing that. I'll do that on a time lapse too after we do the first one, but let's get set up for that. Get my gloves back on because man, it is 32 degrees in here. we should be able to just pop them right in. Get the first couple set and then we'll just speed it up. Okay, they're also not screws. They're little bolts. So we have the hex heads. So I need to go get the right bit out, but they're the little hex heads here. So the little hex head, I'll go get the right setup for that and we'll get back to work. Okay, as you can see, we got the right driver on there now. We're ready to give it a shot. We've got the garage about 3/4 of the way up. And that seemed to be a good height for me. I might raise it a little bit more if it's not easy. I think we can get right under there. Go right in. It's that easy, guys. So we'll get the other 4 on there. I should have no time to get all 4 of these pieces on. We'll trim the last one on the chop saw. It's just soft aluminum, so just like doing a sill or a track for a sliding glass door or something. The chop saw will handle that aluminum just fine. So I'll chop saw is perfectly suitable for this. I used a time lapse. You guys didn't hear me accidentally, but I get a nice even cut. I got a 28-inch piece here, which is what we use for the last remaining section of our garage door, right at 28. So we'll take that back over, screw it up, and then we'll have to feed the gasket. Right. So you guys can see it there in the corner. We've got our rail all the way across the bottom, and then the gasket comes flat like this. This is the outside with the ribs on it. So the ribs go on the outside, so we're going to fold it over behind the garage door post here. And we just have to line it up, part of it, in the 2 little T-traps. Probably easier to line the back one first. I did already trim this end flush because it did not come out flush nice. So we just got to kind of feed it all the way through. I won't make you watch the whole thing, but I'll go ahead and put it on a time lapse because you can see it's going to take me a bit. Okay, well, we got our sill on. The sill can handle a 1-inch difference in total height. And so the bow in the concrete is more than that. Once you added that part to it, it just made it worse. So when it fully compresses, it's a 1/2 inch. So I basically only picked up a 1/2 inch on the other side of the garage in ceiling. So it still had an air gap. So what I did is I took a exterior door frame, brick molding basically, and laid it down across the bottom there nice and tight up against the one area where I still had the leak. So my next purchase obviously is gonna have to be a sill, one of those big rubber sills that we can put down there. And I'll have somebody come out and adjust the garage tension, so with the weight and everything, it'll work fine. So far, it wants to touch the bottom and bounce right back up. And I've checked all the sensors are all connected, there's nothing obstructing it. So that'll be the next to go around. But for now, we're gonna go in and finish insulating the garage. I don't really need it opening and closing during the winter. So this is the kit I bought, the Owings Corning Garage Door Insulation Kit. It's supposed to handle 9 foot by 7 foot, 4-inch tall doors. So we got the height right. We have 16 feet total on this door. So it should be pretty easy for us to trim all that up. So let's open the kit up and see what we have. So from what I understand, there's just a couple of plastic tabs that you put on there. So my wife and I have already gone through and cleaned off the center spots there so we can put the plastic tabs in. All of the insulation battens are already rolled up like this, so we're gonna have to obviously open those up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm assuming that inside those 4, there's more than 4. And then there's something sticky here. I don't know what this sticky is. It wasn't on the instructions. And then our tabs. So these are the tabs that we're actually going to use. Let's flip this box over and use it like a table. So these tabs stick onto stickers, and they're basically two-way locking tabs from what I looked at in the directions. So we have these tabs. We're going to put the sticky tape on there, and then you put these on, and then push this through the insulation opposingly to lock it in place. So it doesn't look like a terrible chore, it just looks like a tedious one. So I'll reposition the camera and get it set up so you guys see how the first one goes. So the adhesive that they sent with us is this 3M VHB. And this is a great tape. We use a lot of this in my day job. It's the primary tape you use for attaching body moldings to cars and stuff like that, as well as everything else you can think of. So all we're gonna do is peel off the tags and put them basically centered in the spots that we already cleaned. And we're gonna go ahead and get that set up first. And there's, oddly enough, there are 6 tabs per unit here. This one up a little higher. This brace bar here, it looks like it's coming off, was added before I moved in to add some rigidity to the whole garage door. But I'm not sure what it's really good for anything other than hanging my clamps on, which is what I normally use it for. So see, we'll just put all of those in the center spots where we're going to need them for the application of the thicker insulation. This garage is already insulated with foam panels that came from the manufacturer of the garage door, but it's probably about an R2. So by adding this R8, it'll give us about an R10 to R11 for the whole garage door, which in a shop this size, which is a 24 by, well, it's 28 by 40 on the interior part here. It should help us keep that electric bill down during the winter months, or at least allow me to get out there and turn, which for for a couple of days here, I'll actually post some pictures along with this. You'll see of my, I have what's called Raynaud syndrome, and it is really impacted by cold weather. So I end up with what looks like 2nd-degree frostbite if I'm not careful, and I get out in cold weather for too long. So we're trying to make it so I can turn year-round. This is our first winter up here. Normally I'm in Colorado and I don't get to turn this time of year. So luckily I get to turn, but the trade-off is I gotta find a way to do it without losing a finger in the cold. So as you can see, I've put the first clip on there, and all you have to do is I use a razor knife to peel the tape away unless you've got super long fingernails. When my wife's back in the garage helping on this one, we'll have her do the peeling. Then you just try to place your little doodads straight up and down. I'm putting mine with the clips pointing down. So the next set of clips will go the opposite direction of that to hold the insulation on. So I'll go through and get all of those placed, and then we'll start measuring for some insulation. You guys can hear the Peter going in back there. So we should have in here 2 of the battens that we're going to be putting down of insulation. We don't want to cut into that at all, so I'm just going to try to peel it off the old-fashioned way. Trick. Now I'm I'm gonna probably need to go put on some rubber gloves. Here we go. One batten. Here's the two. So we have 2 battens per, with 48 inches long. So what we need to do now is trim them down in the middle section here to 44 3/4 inches. So I'll go ahead and set up some cardboard here on the ground, get out the knife. We'll just cut one at a time, but we'll grab a straight edge and just make sure we get it right. Okay, I got a little piece of lawn down there. I pulled out a piece of the foam in the side just to see if I can get more insulation in that way. And I can. I only have to go to 49 inches to make this work. Of course, plenty of play with that. Probably should go get my T-square, framing square. So I'll just line this up along the edge here at 49. Drive away. Nice, compress it and run that knife down the edge here. A couple of passes to do your trick. There we go. Zap it out. Let's take it up and we'll press it into the first spot right there. We'll see how that works. Let's take a look. We're going to go for that one right here. Razor knife with us here. So to start on one end here. So touch up underneath the end gaps. First place I think. Get up in there. Sitting here, I can always go over and trim the other direction as well. So that not like we have to worry about anything that's leaning up against this. We just want that nice point there of insulation. Nice. Now when you get over here, all we have to do is identify where our little nub is. Cut a little cross through here. Poke your line through. There it is. Then we take one of these other tabs, we put it in the opposite direction, push it into that hole. Ooh. That is what the expectation is. Now this will poof out into that space. Fluff it up a bit. Do the same thing on the other side, and we'll repeat that for all 16 panels on this garage door. Obviously it takes some time, but the upside is we'll do one. So relax here. Cut in, push them through, pop our tab on, rinse and repeat. So that's how we'll be doing this. This will fluff back out, this little bucket will be holding in place. You can pull it down into the spaces, push it over in the corners. And that should give us a nice RA insulation of the whole garage door together. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll cut it back to time lapse. We'll finish this side of the door. Come back at the end and kind of wrap up the project, see if I think it was worth the headache. Appreciate you checking in. Okay, we have one full panel done. So that goes from R8. I found a little tag on the panels that were already on there. They were R2.9. So we've got roughly an R12 now on the garage door, which is better than we had before. So hopefully that'll keep some of that heat here, the heater running in the back. Temperature's dropping pretty good here. But all I have now are 3 panels to go. So I will finish up these 2 here and zip back in when I finish the rest to kind of give you my last thoughts and how long the whole project actually took. It's definitely not the 45-minute project that I was anticipating. Okay, well, as you can see, we're all finished. And as you can also see, it is now dark out. So this was not one of those hour-and-a-half projects. It took me about 3.5 hours start to finish. Some of that was, cleaning stuff up, making sure it was ready, and also moving some equipment around. But most of it was just measuring and cutting and getting everything to fit right. My particular, you can see a couple of gaps up there where the insulation's bowing out. My garage didn't have holders on both sides on each of the frames. So I'm gonna have to get some white vinyl tape and just tape that down. It came with a little bit of tape, and you can see where I taped it here. And I'll go ahead and tape all of the joints with a big roll so it looks more uniform. But all in all, we started out with the heater set at 50, and it just kicked on after I opened the garage door to take the rest of the scrap out. So it's doing a pretty good job of keeping us warm. It's under 20 degrees outside. Heater is set right now to 50 degrees. We think that's about as economical as we can go on my particular heater. I put in the rubber seal at the bottom, and we had to put in a kicker here. The floor bows in the middle too much to get a full seal, so I'm gonna have to get somebody to come out and grind that level, and then we'll put another sill down and see if that saves us a couple more BTUs. Anyway, I think it's worth doing. If you have an uninsulated garage door, it's $108 per 9-foot section. This is a 16-foot door, so I had to trim everything back. But it's totally worth it. You'll get a savings right away in your energy bill. So hopefully you enjoyed this. It was instructive. I try to make it as short as possible. Appreciate you guys joining me. Stay warm out there.